Hello friends, today I take up a new topic and this topic is the part of the current affair and the name of its topic is avalanche and landslide in India. So my lesson plan includes introduction and thereafter why is it in the news. Third, definition avalanche prone areas in India. Three important snow avalanche zones and control measures, landslides, vulnerability in India, number of death due to landslide across India from 2010 to 2020, important mitigation strategies, steps for relief and rehabilitations, and finally conclusion. Friends, if you like my channel, please share and subscribe. Please tell your friend that this is free channel. You can get numerous videos covering different topics related with different type of competitive examinations like UPSC, PSCs. So just get benefit out of these lectures. And so friends, now I start the proceeding. First of all, I would like to introduce about avalanche and landslide. Avalanche means Himaskhalan in Hindi and landslide means Bhuskhalan in Hindi. So what is avalanche? Now these two important incidents are the part of the natural disasters. As you might be knowing that there are several kinds of natural disasters like earthquake, cyclonic storm, flood, drought, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions. In addition to these natural disasters, there are several kinds of man-made disasters like the bombing of any particular area, like mining, quarrying, like deforestation. All these are man-made disasters. But now today I just stick to natural disasters. You know, the extreme form of hazards leads to disaster. What is hazard? It means that you are vulnerable. You are at the high risk. So the hazard is just directly proportional to the level of vulnerability in a particular area. If a particular area is more vulnerable, naturally that area will be more hazardous. And now what is disaster? Disaster means when hazards has become so much big that the local population cannot cope up with to solve their problem by themselves. They require or they need outside help for relief and rehabilitation, because the magnitude of disaster is so big that it is very difficult for the local population who are affected, who are victims, that they can't cope up. They have lost the capacity of resilience. So they need or they require outside help for rehabilitation. This is called disaster. So it is clear that disaster is the big hazard. And now the government of India and different state government have made laws for the disaster management I have taken lecture on this subject earlier. Government of India has made the act, the Disaster Management Act in 2005. So now if we see the region of hazards, so what we find that 55% of the total area is vulnerable to earthquake. It may be under the zone 5, 4, 3, 2 or 1, but 55% of the area is under the influence of earthquake. It is vulnerable to earthquake. Secondly, 68% net sown area is vulnerable to drought. Third, 40 million hectare lands are vulnerable to flood. And 8% of the total area is vulnerable to cyclones. Or similarly, sub-Himalayan region and the Western Ghats are vulnerable to landslides and avalanche. And the entire coastal area from Bay of Bengal, the coastal area of Bay of Bengal and the coastal area of Arabian Sea are vulnerable to tsunamis. And I have already delivered lecture on this topic, tsunami. Please see my video. Now, friends, you can ask me why you have taken this subject. As you might be knowing that avalanche struck the Indian Army soldiers at the altitude of 14,500 feet along the disputed border between India and China in the state of Arunachal Pradesh and in the Kemang sector. And now the search and rescue operation recovered bodies of 7 soldiers who were on patrolling the border areas. And there has been inclement weather for the last few days, and because of the heavy snowfall in those areas, this unfortunate incident occurred, leading to the death of 7 soldiers of our army. Now, avalanches are a recurring feature in India. I am showing you a few data. In 2014, 12 soldiers died. In 2015, 24 soldiers. In 2016, 22 soldiers. In 2017, 15 soldiers. In 2019, 17 soldiers. And in 2020, 7 soldiers. So these soldiers were killed while they were doing patrolling in the Western Himalayan region or in Northeast region. So this is the photo of the avalanche, and when it starts slipping, it destroys everything that comes in its way. So it causes loss of property, lives, agricultural lands, and the vegetation of the entire area. We will discuss it in later on. Now, you can ask me, what is the definition of avalanche? Descent of mass of snow compounded with ice and rock from a mountain slope. This is called avalanche. And now avalanche occur when edges of glaciers in high mountains breaks off. In winter, avalanches are caused by fresh snow falls and slips of the snow surface. In spring, they are caused when thawed snow rolls down mountain slopes along the way. These masses increase in size and acquire a dangerous momentum. Now we switch over to the avalanche prone areas in India. What are the important areas that are frequently visited by avalanche? Number 1, Jammu Kashmir, Ladakh, Gurez Valley of Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Chamba, Kullu Valley and Kinnaur, Uttaranchal, Tehri Garhwal, Chamoli district and northeastern region. Now, 3 important snow avalanche zones are: number 1, red zone, second, blue zone, and third, yellow zone. Red zone means where the impact pressure of avalanche is more than 3 tons per square meter. Blue zone is the area where the impact pressure of avalanche is less than 3 tons per square meter, and yellow zone means the area where the impact of avalanche is very less and incident of snow avalanche occur occasionally. It is not a frequent feature in the yellow zone like red zone and blue zone. Now, what are the control measures by which avalanche can be controlled? Friends, as you know that we cannot stop the genesis of avalanche because it is a natural disaster, but we can mitigate its influence, its impact by several methods. And what are the methods or measures that I am going to allude? Number 1, the preventive structures. It means plantation of trees. You know that because of the dense forest, because of the plantation in the northeastern region, the impact of avalanche is very much less than the impact in the western Himalayas, where the forest is not so much dense as we find in the northeastern region. So what is the best method to mitigate the influence of avalanche? Number 1, plantation of trees. Number 2, step terraces, because terraces help in reducing the momentum of avalanche, causing less damage to property and lives. Third is fencing. Fourth is suspended fences used in steep slopes or where there is a poor ground conditions. So we use suspended fences to control avalanche. And now what are the protection measures? Number 1, protecting fences around the area or the area that has been identified to be avalanche prone. Those areas are put under protecting fences, retaining walls on the side of the roads so that avalanche should not break road or the communication should not be disturbed by putting retaining walls. Thirdly, deflecting structures so that it can be deflected on another route. And finally, snow sheds. Snow sheds are made on those areas where the roads, over the communication channel, shades are made so that the snow avalanche should cross over shades and go other way. This way the communication is not disturbed or communication remains intact in spite of the incident of avalanche. So another method to mitigate avalanche is prediction and forecasting. Although in majority of the cases it is very difficult to forecast about avalanche, and we have seen the incident of Kedarnath where no forecasting or prediction came into our rescue and lots of people died, lakhs of property were destroyed. So disposal of avalanche by using blasting powder. So this is also another method to mitigate avalanche. Now I switch over to another important topic, and this is called landslides. In Hindi it is called Bhuskhalan. So friends, what is the definition of landslides? A rapid movement of rock, soil and vegetation down the slope under the influence of gravity is called landslides. Now, what are the kinds of landslide? There are 5 kinds of landslide based upon the movement of material involved. Number 1, slump with earth flow. Number 2, debris slide. Number 3, debris fall. Number 4, rock slide. Number 5, rock fall. What are the causes for the landslides? In the category of physical causes, we can include number 1, prolonged precipitation, earthquake and volcanic eruption. Friends, as you know that prolonged precipitation causes landslides, particularly in the Himalayan areas and Western Ghat area. Why? Because you see that in our country it doesn't rain, but it dawn powers. So the quantum of water or the rains in a short time gives it too much energy, too much volume of water, and that water or the big volume of water gushes out, taking along with soils, the top soils, and thereby denuding the fertility of cultivating land. So prolonged precipitation causes landslides. Landslides, precipitation or big quantum of rains and floods, these 3 things goes together in Himalayan or sub-Himalayan region. So the one of the causes for the occurrence of landslide is prolonged precipitation. Number 2, earthquake. As you know that earthquake itself causes tremor beneath the surface, and this causes landslides. Volcanic eruption is also a major cause for landslide. And now second, ground causes. What are the ground causes? Number 1, where there is a joints or fissures, or where weak weathered materials are available, they are also the cause of landslides. Thirdly, morphological causes. Number 1, erosion. Because of the man-made erosion or natural erosion on account of storm or long precipitation, erosion also causes landslides. Ground uplift. Thirdly, vegetation removal, and it causes looseness of the soil. And finally, deposition of load in the slope crust. And finally, man-made causes like excavation at the toe of the slope, loading of the slope crust, deforestation, irrigation, mining and quarrying, breaking of the eaves of the reservoir, and finally artificial vibration. All are the instrument which causes landslides. Now, landslides vulnerability in India. Now, by this map, I just want to show you that very high hazardous areas are those areas which are in the blue color. So, what you see that this one, the northeastern areas plus this one, the North Bengal or Sikkim, and then you see the Jammu Kashmir area also, and certain part of Himachal Pradesh. They are very high hazardous areas, and then high hazard area which is in the yellow color. So again we see the entire Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh, and then the northeastern areas are the region of high hazardous areas. And then what you see, the moderately high hazard, it is in the pink, and so this is the area which is the Western Ghat area. And then low hazard area. Low hazard area means the area covered by Ladakh. This is Ladakh. So these areas are to be found in our country. And now what we see that Himalayas high to very high, then northeastern hills high, Western Ghats moderate to high, and Nilgiri also, and then Eastern Ghats very low, Vindhyachal low. These 5 type of categories that we have chalked out on the basis of the incidences of landslides. Now we switch over to another important point, number of deaths due to landslide across India from 2010 to 2019. And friends, this is data given to you that in 2019 it was 264, in 2018 it was 404, 2017 it was 231, or in 2010 it is 347. So what you see, the data of 10 years shows that more than 300 people are killed every year by way of landslides occurring in different parts of the country, and mostly in the mountainous region of Himalayas, northeastern region and Western Ghat areas. Now casualty depend upon the place and the time at occurrence of the landslide. Where the population or the density of population is very much high, naturally the casualties will be also high. Again, hilly regions of India is the most vulnerable to landslides and hazards. A close link can be seen between rainfall, landslides and flood in the mountainous region, as I have already told you. Now, what are the important mitigation strategies? Number 1, hazard mapping of slopes. It is necessary that we must map those areas which are very much hazardous. The slopes are very hazardous and prone to landslides. So friends, you might be knowing that there are 4 components of disaster management, and these components are: number 1, mitigation; number 2, preparedness; number 3, relief; and number 4, rehabilitation. So what you see that it is very economically easy to do mitigation work instead of relief and rehabilitation work, because it incurs lots of money. So it is better to have mitigation efforts. Now, one important aspect of mitigation strategy is number one, to map the hazardous slopes. Number one. Number two, the land use. It is necessary to assess the land use, whether that land has been converted for residential area, or the land or the forest land which were converted for agriculture use. So it is necessary to know the land use, and there must not be any interference in the land use by people or authority. Number three, retaining walls. And these walls absorb the shock of landslide or avalanche. Surface drainage control, it is another method. And again, engineered structure, and finally increasing vegetation cover. These are the steps for mitigation of landslides. Now we come to the another point, and these points are steps for relief. What are the steps that can be adopted for relief and rehabilitation when avalanche or landslides occurred in particular area? Now, number one is search and rescue. Number two is medical assistance to injured. Number three, disposal of the dead. Number four, food and water, because those areas are very much contaminated. Water is not drinkable, so waterborne disease may spread in those affected area, and that's why it is necessary to provide food and water to the victims in time. And again, emergency shelter for the homeless, opening of access to road, and restoration of communication channel so that support or assistance can be provided to the victim. Again, psychological counseling of the survivors who have lost their kith and kin or close relatives. Again, repair of houses and facilities, technical and financial assistance to restart economic activity, to restore regular work and income, reconstruction through proper planning. So these are the methods by which we can start relief and rehabilitation work, and so that people or the victim should get a regular source of income. They should be provided all kind of facilities. These are the methods that I have told you by which we can operate relief and rehabilitation work in the affected areas. So now what is the conclusion? Number one, landslide or avalanche are natural disasters. We can't stop it. We can't stop them. They will occur. And as you know, our Himalayan region, particularly Western Himalayan region, Northeastern hills, Western Ghats are those areas which are very much vulnerable to landslides and avalanche. You might be knowing that Himalaya is very much new in geological term. It is still fragile. It is still in the making. So what you see, it is not as hard as Aravali. So, because of this factor, landslides occurs frequently whenever there is a huge precipitation in those areas. But what we can do? We can mitigate the effects of landslides and avalanche by adopting the proper planning and relief and rehabilitation measures. So friends, now I am winding up my lecture. I hope you might have relished this lecture on the natural disaster. I have chosen this topic because of the sad demise of our 7 Jawans in Arunachal area. I hope that you might have found this lecture very much interesting. If you like this lecture, please share and subscribe and tell your friends that this is a free channel. Stay fit. Thank you very much.